What's up, everyone? How's it going? I know it's been a while, but we're back into this and we won't stop again. It's been around like a 5 day break, but we're gonna recap the previous entire week and get into our pre-week analysis. First, let's mark out where the week started last week. So let's go ahead and check that. So it started on May 5th to 9th. So let's go ahead and mark that out. May 5th to basically 9th. All the way there, let's just mark out the market session. There. So let's see what exactly happened within this entire week and see if there's any place that we could have potentially seen a reversal happen or use our knowledge of the market for any key reversals or areas. So I'm just marking out some liquidity levels that I see reaction off of within the week and see how we react there. I'm only going to be marking out the very key levels. We'll go on to the 1 hour again as always, but just marking out the key levels for now. Let's hop onto the 1 hour now. Let's see if there's anything special there. Alright, we do seem to see a reaction off of this high. And we also have this low, but that up move is from news as I remember. So there's going to be news liquidity right there. Yeah, but I mean, that's basically it, what I see. I'm kind of rusty, so we're getting back into this week, but let's see all the pivot points that we noticed or any retracement areas that we can see. So starting on Monday, I'm pretty sure we did recap Monday and Tuesday, but let me double check on the side here. Just give me 1 second to go ahead and check that for you guys. But let's start out with Wednesday and see what's there on Wednesday. Yeah, I recapped Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday through Friday are the days which I did not recap, and that was not too bad because we did have FOMC. That was on Wednesday, I believe, but we can double check that later as well. So what we see is that market opens here, and already these lows, we're definitely looking to strike down and take out these lows, right? Because when we create such a large move like that, it's essentially a big gap that we're looking to go ahead and fill. And since we did see down action first, we're gonna mark that as our area of our main liquidity for the day on Wednesday, as always. And what do we see happen? We started moving down, came back up, swept out these highs, potentially even these highs. And from this area right here, we made our way all the way down to the key level that we're looking to target. So I definitely want to see what happened there on the footprint chart if the delayed data allows for it. So let's go ahead and test out 9:30 on Wednesday on the footprint. 9:30, which was May 7th. So here we're on footprint. Let's go ahead and see that 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday, which would be here, I assume. No, not there. 9:30 is here. 9:30 should be those highs. 9:20, yeah, it would be around here, May 7th. So it looks like we did end up heading into this overall imbalance zone in ES. And what we saw happening from there looks pretty similar to NQ, as we did come down pretty heavily, but we did not seem to take out those imbalance lows quite yet. we did come in and fill most of that majority. But let's see what happened here at these highs that indicated that we're going to go all the way down. So let's take a look. Okay, wow. I don't know if my footprint is bugging or not. I don't know if it's supposed to look like that, but let's go to the future and see if it looks like that there as well. Yeah, this looks quite normal. I don't know why it's showing up like that. Let's see. That all looks pretty normal. Looks pretty normal. To the 8th, and then suddenly after this point, we see all this happen. Yeah, I'm honestly not sure if it's supposed to look like that, and I'm not even sure if you can even backtest that as well. But let me see if it's on the bookmap chart, and maybe you can see any signs of absorption up at those highs as well. But let's go back to that area that we were talking about, the 9:30 a.m. area. So what we do see is that look at all these buyers in these candles right at those highs. Those buyers are struggling to break above this relative area right here. And from there we saw our strong move down. So I'm looking to see if there's any area that we could see happen. Okay, so it does seem that we do have bookmap on that day, May 7th. Yep. Let's go ahead and get to that 9:30. Oh yeah, it's looking pretty nice, if I'm gonna say so myself. That's not even 9:30. The actual move down happened around 9:40, but 9:30 did seem to be the peak. Okay, so what I see happening on Bookmap is that we're seeing a long and lengthy process of buyer absorption, right? And what I see is that the overall barrier spread on Bookmap is moving down with price. And although we do have this barrier right here supporting price, it does seem like price will break and fall, even though we don't really have any targets below, because just because of the spread of barriers up at this relative area, and CVD is also very, very extended towards the upside. And we do have that gap fill area that we are seeking. But let's see what happens there. Yeah, so we broke this barrier towards the downside with heavy strength. And now it's likely that all these strong buyers that got up near those highs, near those barriers, are getting stopped out, helping push price down lower and lower. And let's take a look where we reverse from that low point. Yeah, same thing really, man. What we see here is that price is just playing within a range of barriers, right? When we're playing within a range of barriers, we just have to wait to see where the barriers break and how the spread of barriers move, whether that's up or down. If you start seeing this happen and you see barriers moving up with price and the upper barriers start to break, it's a pretty good sign that we're gonna continue heading towards that sign of breakage and continue moving down until you see invalidation. So there definitely could have been ways you could have caught the shorts around that area, capturing this whole big and lengthy move that we saw happen on NQ and ES. Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the best move you could have caught on Wednesday. Let's go on to Thursday. Thursday did seem we had news at 7:30 or 7:35. So assuming that there was news at that time, we'll mark out the highs of that candle. And it does look like price took that as a target and wanted to capture those highs. But let's see, and it looks like we came down into this imbalance area where we did reverse from. So let's go ahead and see what possibility for reversal we see here at 10. And what we do see happen is that around the 10 a.m. standpoint, we do seem to reverse for the day. Some days, but not every day. And around that 9:30 to 9:40 area are where some good continuation plays can happen, right? So at 9:30, 9:40, you could have cut a continuation play for the shorts. And at that 10 a.m. relative area, you could have cut a big reversal. It all seems, and you should all notice this through a lengthy process of journaling. But let's see what happened here on the 8th around 10 a.m. It made the market reverse all the way towards these main liquidity area towards the highs, which we did seem to get valuation from. But first, let's mark out this one and see what happened there as well. So let's move on to the footprint and go to our area where we actually can see some nice action start to happen. So right here at 10 a.m., it does look pretty similar to NQ. Now what I see happening is, honestly, I don't see much happening. But what we do see happening is that we're seeing lots of sellers come in as compared to the buyers near these lows, around these areas right here. And even though we break that area relatively, sellers are struggling to break through even with all this volume that they're receiving down here. Even with all this volume right there, price is still holding upwards, showing that there's likely signs of passing buying around that area. Now, let me see if there's bookmap for that area as well where we can test it. But already from the footprint chart, we do see that there's heavy seller absorption that's going around at those levels. And even here in the past, we've seen buyer imbalances there, as demonstrated by this red number right there. You see buyer imbalances at these lows, and price is overall having lots of trouble breaking this area down here. Now, this is right around 10 a.m. on bookmap. So here we are at bookmap as well, and that's actually really, really perfect. Let's take a look at what's happening at these lows, right? Sellers are coming in with immense strength. And as you can see, this is not really a barrier. This is a heavy area of, it's a magnet, right? As we would like to call it here at V2. And what we're seeing at this magnet is that so many sellers are coming in. You can see that by this bubble that keeps on getting bigger, and also the tape up here. And there's also lots of buyer icebergs there as well. But look at all the seller stops that we're seeing happen that is struggling to break through this lower level. Now from this lower level, what we see happen is that price starts to break up and start to make our move up. Now with all this seller absorption that you see, if we start to see some breakage above some buyer delta or some barriers that are supporting the movement, then this could be a really nice play. So I'm looking to see if there's any barriers that potential retracement entry could have been in, but looks like there really was no barrier plays. But what could have been taken into consideration was that on footprint, we did happen to see plentiful absorption. And here, we did seem that even though this area was absorbed, this area regained strength and started to recreate itself. So showing that passive buying was really, really strong around this level. Potential long could be taken at this 569 level, or realistically after seeing a reaction back up, likely breaking these highs. So around 5, 6, 6, 7 area could have been a very nice area for entry. So if you enter around that 5, 6, 6, 7 area around here, you likely could have captured a nice play until these highs on bookmap were taken. And even from those highs, if you don't see any signs of rejection from that area, like here, you're not seeing much rejection at all. Buyers just sweep through that area with very nice strength. So no signs to exit there at that level as well. Continue entering now. Our area of exit will likely be around this area. So let's be conservative and say we exit around this 994 level, right? 694. That means we would have entered here and exited all the way up here. That would mark for a nice 1 to 3, approximate 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio, which would have accounted for a very nice trade. On NQ, that likely would have been even more, and that would have been around this 1040. That's 1030. So around here. So realistically, that would have looked something like that. Place stop around these lows. If you're being conservative, likely to place it down there, and you would have likely targeted around here-ish area. So anywhere from a 2 to 3 risk to reward ratio would have been a nice play. And 500 ticks is really good amount. So that would have been the best trade you could have made on Thursday. Now let's go ahead and see what happened here on Friday as well. So what I do see happening was that here at 625, 630 area, we did happen to see some news happen. And some big wicks, so I do want to see movement up to these highs or even take out these lows right here. So it does look to see that 930 to 940 area, we could have seen a reversal happen. I want to see if there's any area for low there. Nothing there, but let's see what happened here at these lows. And I'm thinking you could have got a trade down there because of potential retracement play. And let's see what happened above these highs as well. Right around 830 to the 905 area is what we should be looking at. So let's go ahead and check there on footprint chart. So right around here at 910, yeah, this is honestly one of the most perfect things I've seen in a while when it comes to absorption on footprint, right? Just take a look at what we are seeing at, hold on, what we are seeing at these highs right here, right? This is honestly very good setup, right? Because what do we see happening up at these highs? We're seeing large amounts of volume, and that volume is primarily buying at those highs. So we know that buying is coming in at heavy strength among these areas, but it's struggling very hard to break these areas. And taking a look at bookmap, what do we notice here, right? From these highs that we saw absorption from previously, which is going to be this high right here, right? On bookmap, we see that that high in itself made a pretty nice and heavy sized barrier, which we started to see strong amount of buying pressure as seen by these bubbles start to make reaction off of and head towards the downside. Now we do see this small buying pressure there, but that's honestly insignificant size and really minor compared to these bears that we're seeing here. And since we're seeing reaction from these bears right here, a short could have potentially been made from a break of these lows right here, which does seem to happen right there. So 5698, 5698, which would have been around this area right here, which is not bad. It should have been around this area right here. You could have entered short. Simply seeing from this signs of buying absorption up at these highs, and the fact that we're seeing large amounts of seller delta get in as well. Potentially, you could enter at 698 or at this area where we're seeing large amount of selling delta. And let's go back and see if there's any signs of reversal. Now, if you keep moving down, not seeing much on the footprint at all to see this retracement happen right here at around 920. Let's go and see on the footprint. So the move does seem to happen around 9. It starts to end around 9:30. Pardon me. Let's see what goes on around 9:30. I'm not gonna lie. I likely would have exited around 685, unless the breakage happened much quicker. But let's just see what's happening here. Let's put it on 2x speed so we can see. Oh. Yeah, we do have selling still supporting. So this could have been a potential area to exit because this is holding with decent strength. So, and that's right around 26. So let's go on footprint and see the reaction there at 926. So what we see happening around that area was that we started seeing nice buying come in at the bottom. But this is kind of confusing, I'm not gonna lie, because we did see buying delta did start to get in at the bottom with selling at the bottom, which could have indicating seller absorption. Could have been a sign of an exit, but simply after that sign of breakage, which did happen here at these lows, that should have been a clear sign of exit, which did happen here. So you likely could have kept holding. See what happened at 635 now. Yeah, we just keep going down. It's 1040. Alright, yeah. Right here would have likely been the best area to get an exit. Let me explain to you why. We saw heavy sellers coming in at the bottom, indicating absorption. And not only that, we saw our selling supporting barrier get broken towards the upside, which leaves the room for us to make our way back up to around these levels approximately. It just depends where price wants to head to. But since we broke our seller barrier that was supporting us, we have the potential to continue or to reverse towards the upside. So right around 1044 at 674, around there, you could have got an exit when you would have entered around up there. So you see how you're getting a sniper exit right near an area of seller absorption and reversal, and exiting right at these lows around this area. You're getting honestly pretty nice entries and pretty nice exits using order flow when it likely could have been very difficult to do within the charts because it's hard to find these specific levels that you cannot see on the charts without using order flow. But yeah, that's pretty much all for the previous week and the time which I've missed regarding analysis. Now, let's go ahead and start with our pre-week analysis. I know that this video has been taking a bit long, but I did promise you guys that I would go ahead and give you guys remake of the week's analysis and the pre-week analysis as well. And this is all live. I haven't seen the charts before this, so I'm going through this as I would if I'm by myself without recording. So that's why it takes a decent amount of time, because this is all live right now. So yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and see the news for the upcoming week. So on Monday, not too much news. We do have some FOMC members speaking, but shouldn't be too worried on Monday. All seems to be low impact. Let's go ahead and check financial juice as well. On financial juice, on Monday, same thing, not much news at all. Let's go on to Tuesday. Tuesday, we do have CPI data, so it will likely be a day where I am going to be flat and just stay on the sidelines, because there is CPI on Tuesday. The only way I will trade on Tuesday is that if we see a sweep of this news liquidity and see large signs of absorption or supporting barriers at that level as well. But Tuesday would likely be a flat, plain market analysis day. Wednesday, we don't see too much. Wednesday can be a nice day. Let's check on financial juice as well. Yeah, so on Wednesday, good thing we checked both financial juice and Forex Factory, because financial juice, we do have EIA crude oil inventories. So definitely a 5-minute interval at 9:30, and Wednesday should be a pretty nice day. Thursday, we do have PPI. So PPI, we typically can trade, but what I see happening is that Powell is speaking at 7:40 a.m. And typically when Powell speaks, we want to stay flat. So depending on how long he speaks, we are going to stay flat. And depending on the move that PPI gave us, we will stay flat as well. But we are going to be careful as always. Powell does speak at 8:15. We do have news as well. 9 a.m. we have 5-minute interval. Thursday would probably be another flat day, simply because of the news that we are seeing on that day with Powell and PPI. But if a nice setup occurs, we're not scared to pull the trigger on it. On Friday, we do have UAM. Same as this, yeah. So on Friday, simple 5-minute interval at 9 a.m. And Friday should be a pretty decent day, hopefully. But yeah, just keep that in mind in the week moving forward. We do have CPI, PPI, and Powell speaking. So do keep that in mind. The week opened up with a nice gap fill here at these lows. So I do want to see this gap get filled pretty quickly, or even get back to this level right here. If we see reaction from this level right here, then we can head towards the highs again. But best case scenario, we continue and come down this gap fill area tomorrow on Monday. But we do have to wait and be patient as to what will happen. Damn, I started a lot while saying that. But yeah, I do want to see a gap fill happen. But let's go ahead on the 4-hour. And that gap fill could also be at this area as well. So we just gotta go ahead and see. Gap fill there or gap fill there. Those are the levels in which I'm looking for a reaction from in terms of the gap fill. Let's go ahead and mark out key levels. We do have more potential to continue going up. I don't see any signs of reversal. We started reversing from the downside, and now it seems like momentum will continue to push us higher, as long as we don't see reactions from these highs, these highs, or you get the idea. So this is going to be a zone right there. This is going to be a 4-hour supply zone. That might be a key area for reversal, but I don't know if the price will even get all the way up there in the week. So I'm looking for a reaction on either of these levels, and we'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and mark a volume profile as well, just so we get a better idea as to where key levels may be. And it does look like the point of control is lower, but volume does seem to be decently spread out. So what I think is that these lows right here are going to be a very, very key level for us to look out for, simply because our point of control is located around that area. Let's just say high volume node. We do have a high volume node around that area, and we do have high volume node around this area as well. So let's keep extending it back. Yeah, so we have two key high volume nodes. This zone seems to be a very key high volume node area. So let's go ahead and mark this area as POS as a high volume node as well. And it does seem like if we break above this level, we should continue, but this area up here does seem to have increment of volume as well. So I will be removing this level right here because volume does seem to increase. But these areas are going to be very, very key. This level, potential reaction. This level, if you break above, I'm expecting continuation upwards. So I am going to mark this as imbalance above. God damn. God damn. Alright, I know it's good. Okay, there. Imbalance above. So yeah, honestly, what I see going on is that we might come down from this gap fill or continue going down, take out these lows, and continue seeing up. So simply from what I see, these are my preferable outcomes. We'd either go there to these gap fill areas and continue heading up, likely towards these highs right here. But as always, we might see reaction there, and we might see reaction there as well. But if we continue to go down, I want to see large movement upwards from there as well. And as always, reactions from our main key levels as well. This is honestly what I'm looking for, and we can react on each one of these scenarios. The only area where we might be iffy is that if we break these lows and continue going downwards, we have to reevaluate our preferred outcomes. But these are going to be our preferable outcomes, simply looking at NQ. Let's go ahead and do the same on ES. Let's mark out these gap fill areas. Okay. I'm looking to assume it's going to be the same as NQ, but we are open to different outcomes and more. Just seeing how volume is distributed on both. Typically, ES does seem to stand of higher significance than NQ when we're looking for these types of things. A lot of levels here on ES. Not seeing any real zones. This potentially could have been a daily. And honestly already know that it's going to be a high volume node, and let's double check that, and I'm pretty confident that this low will be a high volume node as well. Same like NQ. But let's go ahead and verify that as well. 4 hour. This is 25th. Trying to see, maybe I extended it too much, but this is going to be our high volume node on ES. Mm-hmm. 25th. Yeah, so good thing we only went until the 25th, and if you look here, that's where all those levels are as well. This is a high volume node as well, so we did get that right. Same, this high is also a high volume node. Something doesn't seem right. I thought I kept it here on, I'm in Q, but I must have been wrong. Let me refresh. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so we did do it until 18th. Here on 25, that is going to be an area of interest, but those two areas are the most important points, like where we're at right now as well. I'll mark out the main levels that I'm looking for. This level, not too much. This level does seem to have high interest because on ES, it's also quite important. Let's go ahead and mark out that as well. But on ES, it does seem to be that the 25th does have high significance, so that is going to be a high volume node. This area does seem to have significance as well, same with that. But it does seem that these highs right here hold large significance. So from what I'm seeing, what I see happening is that we either continue towards these highs, or preferably we come down here, head to those highs, or even, oh my god, we come down here, head to those highs and see a reaction, or even head to these highs. But preferably what I see happening is that we seek reaction from that level, potentially seek reaction from this level, and there as well. But I don't personally seeing us in a week heading all the way up there. It could happen as always again because, but in this week we made a move like that, so we could likely make a move there. That's what I'm going to expect. Or we could also just continue going down, keep those, and then same thing really. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly looking quite the same on ES as it is on NQ as well. I know it's been a long time, but we are almost done. And how does the VIX look? The VIX does look like we can easily continue down to these lows as well. So I am waiting for the VIX to continue down there. I don't see much reversal, but if we do reverse, we can head back up to these highs and continue down. So that does look pretty good, but these are going to be our preferable outcomes for this week. We talked about the news in the week, and with the news that we do have, we likely easily can head to these highs, if not even these highs. So I'm looking forward to see how this week reacts, how we perform this week, and how you guys perform as well here at V2 Trading. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. Or, as always, please go ahead and join the Discord. The link is in the description. Everything is completely free, and we're looking to help many traders out. That's all I have here for today. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you liked it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the market analysis session. I'll see you guys then. Bye.